أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يحصي نعماءه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتحدون الذي لا يدركه بعد الحمم ولا يناله غلص الفطن ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين صاحب العصر والزمان خليفة الرحمن إمام الإنس والجان ولعن الله أعداهم أجمعين إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد فقد قال الله وقوله الحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. Lessons from the life of Nabi Musa alayhi salam has been our topic. Tonight is our fourth discussion on this topic. We have been looking at the story of Nabi Musa alayhi salam through the lens of the Quran. We mentioned to all of you a few nights ago that Nabi Musa is that Musa that is the most mentioned of all the prophets inside the Quran. 900 plus verses across 30 different surahs about this man. And it goes without saying, inside the month of Ramadan, where the book of Allah is revealed, it's important that we look at these realities from the book of Allah. And I've asked all of you, and alhamdulillah, the feedback I'm getting is very good, and I'm very happy to hear back from all of you, that all of you are sitting around now with your families, inshallah, with the Quran now in front of you, in some form, be it a phone or be it a book or something, so we can follow along. As I said, there is only one prophet, being Nabi Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam, whose entire story from start to finish is reported in one surah, being Surah Yusuf, obviously. Nabi Musa's story is bits and pieces here, chunks of verses here, another chunk over there. So as the ravish or the method was yesterday, we'll follow that along today as well. We'll initially tell you the next portion of the story, and then we'll look at the various verses along with all of you to see how the Quran describes all of this. Okay? We left off yesterday's discussion or episode where now the mother of Nabi Musa, the Old Testament refers to her as Jokabid. The Arabic is Yukabid, but the Quran refers to her as Musa, the mother of Musa. There's no name given. We mentioned how she gave birth to this newborn son at a time where there was a command from Fir'aun to kill all newborn babies born from the Bani Israel tribe, due to the fact that his dream was prophesied to mean that that his kingdom will be demolished or destroyed by the savior who will come from the Levi tribe of the Bani Israel, dating all the way back to Nabi Yaqub alayhi salam. So he thought, let me go ahead and be a little proactive, and let me go ahead and target these newborn boys only from the Bani Israel tribe. So he had a midwife. The midwife was asked to report of any newborn males to two soldiers. They would on the spot kill that newborn baby boy. When Nabi Musa was born, the midwife was so taken by him, so in love with him, that she refused to tell the soldiers that a boy was born. Instead, made up some excuse about a miscarriage, even showed some blood on a cloth, some reports say. And in the meantime, in the process, protected Nabi Musa's existence. And then, of course, at that moment, a wahi comes down, or she's inspired, the mother of Nabi Musa, and the Quran refers to وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَىٰ أُمِّ Musa, wahi, or there was a revelation, or we revealed to Musa's mother, the mother of Musa, to place this newborn child in a basket in what's called a tabut, and put it inside the Nile River. Okay? the Quran now gives a little bit of a spoiler alert, for lack of a better word, where now the Quran says that he will eventually end up at a place where he at the doorstep of his enemy and my enemy, me of course being Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he will be amongst the prophets. So we left last night's episode at the fact that the mother now had let go of the basket, and the basket now is flowing down the river. Okay, let's continue the story from there. We jump to Bibi Asiya and the kingdom of Fir'aun. Now, Fir'aun had married Asiya knowing full well that she was an Israeli. Okay, she was from a Bani Israel tribe. She was, of course, a pious woman from a pious lineage. And one of the reasons we have in our books, one possible reason why he would marry a member from the Bani Israel tribe, and this was fairly common back then, is that sometimes one individual would marry a woman from another tribe to bring the tribes together, or to possibly soften the amount of dhulm that one does onto that other tribe. So for example, if let's say the president of the US decides to marry, let's say, gets divorced to the first lady, God forbid, and marries, let's say, a Muslim woman, okay? Some people might think, oh, he's not that bad. He married, one of our own people, right? So possibly to distract, to soften, to kind of overlook the dhulm he's doing on the Bani Israel tribe, he married this woman. Now what he thought from Asiya was that his lineage through a boy wouldn't move forward and the kingdom would be passed on to him. But she was barren. She couldn't have any children, Asiya. Okay? So now, of course, this basket is in the river. Now let's jump the scene to Asiya. Now, in one report, it says that Asiya was enjoying the weather one day, and her and a couple of her friends inside of the palace, she had asked Fir'aun that, I want to go outside and enjoy the weather. Can you put a canopy or some sort of a tent outside so I can enjoy the weather by the river, by the water? So he does that, and she's out there, and she's she's enjoying the weather. And what is spotted in the distance is this basket, okay? This treasure, this box, however you want to refer to it. The Quran says tabut. There are various other tafasir out there about what exactly that box was, but it really isn't important what it was. And from a distance, you could tell that there was a swaddled baby inside the basket. Okay, she summons to have this basket now brought to her. She picks up the baby, and naturally, as a woman who's not able to have any children, sometimes those type of women are more attracted to newborn babies. Okay, only because they know that they could never have a child of their own. Okay, so maybe perhaps she's thinking that if I could have a son, he might be like this size. I would hold him like this. I mean, of course, I'm doing a little bit of a khayal, a little bit of my own injection. I don't mean to do that, but if I could possibly kind of picture what she was going through, but she was immediately taken by this newborn baby being Musa. Okay. Everyone gathers around her. I mean, naturally you find a newborn. Nowadays, what if somebody was to find a newborn? What if you would have found a newborn child in a basket on your front door? There'd be chaos, right? The entire house would drop what they're doing and run to their front door. Oh my God, what is it? Who is it? Like looking around for somebody. Lo and behold, this newborn baby. So now Bibi Asiya now is holding Musa, essentially. And one report says that the mother of Nabi Musa followed the basket all the way down the river until she could see in the very, very distance that he had ended up at the doorstep of the palace of Fir'aun, and she had witnessed with her own eyes how Asiya picked up Nabi Musa into her lap. Okay. Another version that I have seen says that in fact she sent her daughter Maryam. Remember I mentioned that Midian was a better pronunciation of the daughter of the mother of Musa, the sister of Nabi Musa. The mother of Musa sent her daughter to go and find out whatever happened to your brother Musa. She was the one that saw the moment that Asiya picks up Musa and went back and reported that. Now, one thing that I left off last night talking about was this idea of rabatna ala qalbiha. Okay? When did that moment happen? When she was, when she was relieved almost, or she was about to, it was getting too much for her? This was the moment. Now, I want you to think about it. And today I really want to focus on mothers a little bit, okay? To really kind of, bring home the point of how difficult this was for everybody involved, okay? The Quran reveals that at this moment now, there are two possible reactions to the verse that says that her anxiety was about to exit her. Now what that means, either she was going to explode, meaning her anxiety is going to get the better of her and leave her, meaning in the expression of her screaming at Asya that this is my son, my son. Or the other tafsir was a complete opposite, that there was this sense of calmness about her, right? And the effect of Allah saying وَرَبَطْنَا عَلَىٰ قَلْبِهَا, that Allah says, we have secured her heart, is that reassurance that, look, so far, everything that was inspired to me has come true. I was told to put my newborn in a basket and watch it go down the river, and I did that. And I watched him go until the enemy's palace, okay? And I did that. Now I'm watching him in the arms of the wife of that ruler who was actually going to kill my own son. Now imagine now what she's going through, okay? It's incredible that now, not knowing where my son might end up, lo and behold, he ends up in the arms of the wife of the Fir'aun, who, oh, by the way, was scheduled and planned to kill my son. Didn't happen. Now he ends up there. Exactly as God had told her. That he's going to end up at the doorstep, at the footstep of the enemy of mine and the enemy of his. And because she says that exactly what I was told happened, it's possible that her anxiety settled. Allah once again secured her heart. Or the fact that now he was in this close to being to Fir'aun. Fir'aun might see him as a newborn boy and kill him on the spot. And so at that moment when she's about to burst and say, can you put my son down? Give me back my son. Don't give my son to your husband. Allah says, وَرَبَطْنَا عَلَىٰ قَلْبِهَا. Had it not been, lawla, the Arabic said, had it not been that we had secured her heart, she would have let her anxiety get the best of her. Okay? Which left me with a point last night that I really want to reemphasize today was when we also are drowning in our anxiety and stress, sometimes we don't understand the power that gets us through that stress is Allah grabbing the heart and doing rabata. Rabata means to secure it when it's on the brink of breaking. Okay? So now Asya has the newborn child. Okay? And she's obviously in love. Okay? If Fir'aun hears the commotion, comes out, okay, and sees this child inside Asya's lap. And he's like, what is this? And she says that this is what happened. Okay? He says, and he could tell by his features, he could tell by Musa's newborn features that he was from the Bani Israel tribe. Okay? He said, look, I have to kill. This is a newborn boy. It's a command that I had brought down. It's inside my house. I have to kill this newborn boy, right? At that moment, then Asya pleads with him. Some reports say that she fell at his feet, at Fir'aun's feet, that please don't kill him, right? He actually could be a benefit to us. Right? He's actually, he's a coolness of my eyes. Remember, a reminder of yesterday's midwife story. The midwife saw Nabi Musa and fell in love with him right away. And that's Allah who actually reports in the Quran that I am the one that put love for you, Musa, in the heart of others. Right? And Tafsir says that anybody that met Nabi Musa fell in love with him instantly. In love with him instantly. And Bibi Asya was no different. She pleaded with Fir'aun that, look, he might even be beneficial to you. If he is not able to benefit you, let's take him as our son at least. Okay? Now Pharaoh loved his wife. He did. He loved his wife. He wanted to place everything at her feet. He saw the look in her eyes. He knew that she was barren, she couldn't have children. And so he said, fine. And he said, what will we name this child? And Bibi Asya says we'll name him Musa. Now Musa comes from two different words. Mu in the Egyptian Arabic lahja and tone means water. Ma is actually water. Mu in the Egyptian Arabic means water. Sa means a tree. Okay? So literally she found him in the water at at what's called a reed or a tree. So because of the mixture of the water and the tree, she named him Musa. Okay? She named him Musa. And so now, and again, we'll go through the verses in a moment to see exactly how the Quran describes this moment. Okay? Now, one more thing that Allah promised promised the mother of Musa, is that we will reunite you with him very shortly. Now, how does that happen? Let's find out. Okay? Now, it's been a couple of hours since his last feed. Remember, the inspiration says to the mother of Musa to feed him, nurse him, then put him in the basket and let him go. Okay? Again, immense wisdom behind everything Allah commands. Every command that Allah brings down for us or for anybody has an immense amount of wisdom behind it. Whether or not you and I accept that wisdom or know that wisdom is something else, but there is wisdom there. Okay? We find out that now after hours and hours of being in the river, being in the basket, now being in the lap of Asiya, this newborn boy is hungry. Okay? And he begins to cry and gets all fussy. Okay? Now knowing full well that he needed milk, it's been hours, she of course, Asiya, finds a midwife. Midwife attempts to nurse him. He rejects the midwife. Okay? And now he gets even more fussier. And with him getting more fussy and crying more, Asiya gets upset. Fir'aun then gets upset because Asiya's upset. And now there's a frantic kind of movement trying to figure out, okay, how can we get someone now to nurse this boy? Who is it that the boy will accept to be his nursing mother? Okay, so he asked Haman. Haman, you'll know throughout the story, was Fir'aun's advisor, his right-hand man, and he's up and down the Quran. In fact, the Quran talks about the fact that Nabi Musa had three main enemies: Fir'aun, Haman, and Qarun. And later on, inshallah, we'll talk about each one if we get there, inshallah. It's a long story. I know I won't get there to the end. I just want to get you a little taste of it. Maybe, hopefully, inshallah, after my speeches are done, maybe the husbands, the fathers, the single moms can pick up a book and continue the story with their kids every single day, every second day, for about 10, 15 minutes. Right? Who knows? Maybe. There's lots of stuff out there, and you can always directly message me. I'll let you know exactly what my resources are. Okay? So now they're frantically looking somehow now to feed this child. Okay? So he sends out Haman to go out and find some of the elite mothers, right, to come and attempt to feed this child. Okay? So now there is this lineup of the elites inside Egypt, the elite inside Egypt, because there's a class system there. Right? And of course, Fir'aun, if he's going to take this boy on as a son, of course now, he wanted to get the best of the best out there. No matter who he brought to Musa, Musa will reject every single one. Okay? And you know where I'm going with this. And then he says to Haman, forget the elite, let's just spread out the entire search. Find anybody from any tribe, the Egyptians, the Israelis, it doesn't matter. Just get them to feed this child, quiet this child, because my wife is getting a little upset, etc., etc. Okay? So now there is word going around that the king, Fir'aun himself, is looking now, because now word has gone around that this has happened. Well, I mean, rumors like that don't stay, right? I mean, if you thought things were bad nowadays, back then too, there was a lot of, a lot of happening. So everybody knew that Fir'aun had this boy inside of his palace, this newborn boy looking to get milk. All the mothers now lined up outside the palace. Can you imagine being that woman that now quiets and brings a little bit of security and freedom to Fir'aun and his wife? Now you can imagine the reward that person must get. Lineups. They would walk into the palace, attempt to nurse, and be rejected and walk out. Okay. In the meantime, now let's switch back. Now we're going between scenes now, right? What a director I am, right? Between scenes. We go back to the mother of Musa. Okay. And inside Qissa Hay Anbiya, Aghay Jazari says that at that moment there was news had spread all over the place about this boy. Okay, about this boy, and. It's such a beautiful, beautiful moment in the story. It really brings me it brings me chills. It really does every single time. It's such a beautiful, beautiful moment. When God's the director of the story, it's the most beautiful thing. Anyways, so Kulsum, of course, which is the Arabic word for Musa's sister, goes out and begins to approach the palace. And from a distance now, she could see the entire palace. She sees a long lineup going in the palace and really happy, anxious women walking in the palace and a rejected, dejected, upset woman walking outside the palace. Okay? As I mentioned, every woman will go in, attempt to nurse. With every passing woman, Musa gets hungrier and hungrier. And when the child gets hungry, as you know, he gets fussier and fussier. The cry gets louder. And the anxiety of the parent gets higher. Okay? So things are anxious right now. And when things are anxious, Pharaoh is just desperate just to get anybody, just to quiet this kid down. Okay? And then the sister of Musa does something very, very brave. She approaches one of the guards of the palace. Okay? And she says to him that, look, what if I was to take you to a mother or to a woman that I know would most likely be able to give this child some milk? Now, she took a big chance, right? Because now everyone knew who the Egyptians were and who the Israelis were. Okay? But she was a girl. She was free. As I mentioned before, Pharaoh had purposely left the girls alone and he targeted the newborn boys. So now this guard thought to himself, okay, even though she's an Israeli, if I bring that mother to Pharaoh who solves this problem for him, I'm the hero. I'm the hero. And if I'm the hero, I'm going to get the most reward. Okay? So he says to her, fine, take me there. So Kulsum takes this guard to the mother of Musa. The mother of Musa is excited that she's about to see her newborn child. You know, you ever see these moments where a mother gives birth? And I ask my moms out there, even those mothers I know whose kids now are older now and this and that, go back all the way to the first day that you had given birth to your child. Okay, given birth to your child. And there comes a moment where they might take that child away, I don't know, to the nursery or to get some sort of checkup. And you look over there, and if you're inside the hospital room and your baby isn't beside you, there's this panicky feeling. Even though you know after 5 minutes he'll be back, she'll be back. There's this ajib, panicky, there's this bechani, right? This uncomfortableness as the mother. I just gave birth to this child. I carried this child for X amount of months, and now, right? Imagine now the feeling of Nabi Musa walking towards the palace of Pharaoh, knowing full well that I'm about to now hold my son again. She's in line, the mother of Musa is, and lo and behold, the moment that she holds her boy, holds her son, can you imagine for the first time after hours and hours and hours, not knowing, she did not have ilm ghaib, guys, not knowing what the ultimate destiny would be of her son. And the way that the Farsi book that I had read captured this moment was something that was just beautiful, beautiful. And sometimes it's such a beautiful language that English can't capture it, right? Urdu, Farsi, Arabic, these are beautiful, beautiful, emotion-filled languages, right? It's almost as if the way that the writer had written it, it's like, the moment that Nabi Musa now is once again reunited with his mother, just like the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there was this sense of calmness about him. It's almost as if he was like smelling her, right? And he felt the warmth, he must have heard the heartbeat, and right away he calmed down. And naturally he took her milk. Okay? And that connection is possibly why Islam in general holds mothers to be at such a high level. Such a high level. I remember, as many of you know, my son Hassan, that a lot of you have met at least at baitulqayem, and a lot of you at baitulqayem had met. He was born, 25 weeks after pregnancy, right? So he was born 1.5 pounds. He fit in my hand, and he fought for his life for 110 days in the ICU here in Toronto. And I specifically remember, and when I was doing my preparation today, I stopped for a moment and I just remembered those days, which was 5 years ago, which was everything for my wife and I. But it just seemed like, sometimes it seems like yesterday, sometimes it seems like it's 5 years ago. Anyways, So I remember going every single day, and back then, I've said the story to you guys before, back then it was all about numbers, right? His breathing numbers, his oxygen numbers, his heartbeat, right? So we would, we had two other daughters, right? We would drop them off to school or to my in-laws or to my mom's house, and we would go, of course, to Hassan inside the hospital. And right away we would check his numbers. And the one thing I remember that they had told Zahra and I, my wife and I, was that, the best thing you could do for Hassan is something called kangaroo care. If you're in the medical field, you know what kangaroo care is to hold the child skin to skin. Okay, so hold it against your shoulder, or hold it such that the warmth of your skin it can feel. Now it'd be the father or the mother, but preferably the mother. Right? And I remember specifically the nurse telling us that, because this was an individual pod that we have, a small pod, and there must have been massive machines all linked up to my baby boy. He must have had, it felt like 1,000 probes on him. Okay? And she said something very specific to me. I remember that very vividly. She said, Mr. Jafri, these machines cost thousands of dollars. And all of them are made to somehow mimic and emulate the heartbeat and the warmth of the mother. And we still can't do it. Because the moment that Hassan would feel the warmth of my wife, his numbers would normalize, his numbers would increase, and the longer that he would be close to his mother, the more he would feel like serene, calm, physically, emotionally, mentally. Right? The best thing that we could do for him was just sit there all day and for hours and hours and hours and hours hold him against, because he was supposed to be inside my wife, right? He was supposed, he came out too early, like he was too excited to meet his parents. I mean, do you blame them? I mean, like a dad like me, I mean, come on. Anyways, right? I mean, I would be happy to meet myself. Anyways, so that's what I mean, and that's such a fitri, natural thing for mothers. And I felt like that was the moment that Nabi Musa had when his mother had held him for the first time after giving. And on top of that, can you imagine the mother's feeling? Right? And this reuniting in the best possible way. Asiya's eyes lit up, Fir'aun's eyes lit up, and the hero of the day was the mother of Nabi Musa, the very mother who gave that azim sacrifice of putting her baby boy inside of this river. Okay? And eventually, of course, Asiya had to keep her in the palace. He would not take anyone else's milk but hers. Okay? I'm going to stop there. Let's come to the Quran. Okay? Now, to make your life a little bit easier today, all of the verses I'm going to talk about are in succession. So we're going to go back to Surah Qasas, 28th chapter of the Quran. I have 3 minutes left in my time. And let's go through this one by one to make sure that this is also a Quran discussion. So, Surah number 28, Surah Qasas. Okay, we're going to start off with verse number 7 and go all the way down to verse number 13. Okay, very quickly. This is the one that I just want to remind you of, 28:7. Surah Qasas, verse number 7. 28th chapter, 7th verse. Stay with me. This is the one that we discussed yesterday. Just to remind you, this was where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَخَافِي وَلَا تَحْزَنِي, don't grieve, don't fear, don't grieve, right? إِنَّ رَادُهُ إِلَيْكَ, we are going to return him back to you. We will bring him back to you. We'll once again reunite you guys, you two together. وَجَاعِلُهُ مِنَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ, we'll make him amongst the prophets. Okay. Part of the reason why she was a little bit calmer than she should have been, the mother Musa, because every single one of these promises by God came true. Okay? The promise of God always comes true. Now we come to verse number 8. Verse number 8 says, and Fir'aun's family took him up that he might be an enemy and a grief for them. Surely Fir'aun and Haman and their hosts were wrongdoers. Meaning that this is the moment that he picks them up and says, look, I have to kill this person. This might be the one boy who's going to turn around and destroy my kingdom. He's a baby boy from the Bani Israel tribe. It's a hukam. I have to kill him. He is my enemy. He might be a source of grief for me. Then verse 29 says, and this is when Asiya says to him, and Fir'aun's wife to him says, what? قُرَّةُ عَيْنٍ لِي وَلَكَ. That this boy is a refreshment to my eye. قُرَّةَ عَيْنِ, right? Is this coolness to my eye, and it's to me and to you, he says. Bibi Asiya says. Again, verse number 9 of Surah Qasas, 28:9. She says, he's a refreshment for me and for you. So what? La taqtuluhu. Don't kill him. Don't kill him, please. Right? You never know. You never know. Asa an yanfa'ana. It could be that he might be a benefit for us. Or, oh, natakhizahu walada. We could take him as a son. Right? We could take him as a son. She's like, look, he actually might be of use to you. Right? Or, let me take him as a son. And then the Quran says, وَهُمْ لَا يَشْعَرُونَ. They have no idea what's about to happen. Right? But this is the moment that she begs for, do not, please, don't kill him. Don't get rid of him. Let him be my son. He is a coolness to my eyes. Verse number 10. Okay? This is the moment now where the freeing of the heart of the anxiety I talked about. Two possible meanings. One possible meaning is that she was calm because she saw every single one of Allah's commands and his promises came true, so she was relaxed. Or because of the fact that Allah grabbed her heart and secured it with iman, she was also free. And the heart of Musa's mother, وَأَصْبَحَ فُعَادُ أُمِّ مُوسَى فَارِغًا. Right? It was free from anxiety. She was about to disclose, meaning this is my son, this is what's going on. إِن كَادَتْ لِتُبْدِي بِهِ لَوْلَا أَنْ رَبَطْنَا عَلَىٰ قَلْبِهَا. Verse number 10, beautiful verse. Had it not been for us that we have protected the heart, she would have exploded and said, this is my son. This is my son. Okay? And then verse number 11. Verse number 11 is at that moment that she said to his sister. Who said? Now, وَقَالَتْ لِأُخْتِهِ. The mother of Musa says to Musa's sister to go and follow him up. Go find out what's going on. Okay? And then she says, so she watched him from a distance while they did not perceive. Again, that moment I talked about, from a distance, she's watching the lines and lines of mothers going in, trying to feed this child, coming out dejected and depressed. This was the moment the Quran talks about. And then at 12, this is where the sister talks to the guard, says, should I take you to a mother? Look what the Quran says. And we ordained that he refused to suck any foster mother before. Right? So it was Allah that says, look, reject all of them. That's when the sister says to the guard, shall I point you to the people of the house who will take care of him? Right? And they will be generous to him. Let me take you, let me show you my mother, who for sure is going to now give him her milk. That was the moment. Right? And then at that moment now, this beautiful, and I'll end with this today, this beautiful moment now of the reuniting of the mother and her child, right? Verse number 13 of Surah Qasas, so we gave him back to his mother that her eye might be refreshed. Allahu Akbar. You can't write this stuff. I'm telling you, it's such a beautiful story. فَرَدَدْنَاهُ إِلَىٰ أُمِّهِ. Her eyes were refreshed. It could mean that she was crying tears of joy. Who knows? And that she might have no grief. That she might know that the promise of Allah is absolutely true. وَلِتَعْلَمَ أَنَّ وَعْدَ اللَّهِ حَقًّا وَلَكِنْ أَكْثَرُهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. The unfortunate part is that most of us don't know. We don't understand. The promise of God will come true, right? If you ask, if Allah says, call upon me, I'll answer you. A lot of you are asking Allah in the month of Ramadan. Don't ask Allah with your own timeline. Understand that if He promises to answer you, He'll answer you. But when He thinks and when He knows you're ready. When He thinks, when He knows you're ready. Let's stop there. We'll resume tomorrow. I know the suspense is killing all of you. Stay tuned until tomorrow, inshallah. We ask you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to accept our qaleel efforts, inshallah, to understand your book and your words and apply them, inshallah, into our life. Accept our amal in the month of Ramadan. Forgive our sins and those of our parents. And allow us to stand beside the Imam when he comes. In the end, as I always do, a Surah Fatiha, please, for your marhumin, for mine, the Shuhada of Islam, and for the sponsors, and for the marhumin of tonight's sponsors, inshallah. Fatiha. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.